Welcome to Real Time Recorded, the new format for our weekly video show on enterprise communications. How you doing, Zeus?
Good. The herd was fun, but I think the format's going to be better.
Let's get started. It was a pretty big week, actually. Let's get started with, you can see I got my shirt on, with Twilio Signal conference took place this week. A lot of big announcements. We both attended. Let's start off with some of those announcements. Well, let's just do event streams quickly. That was one of the announcements. Very interesting if you are a developer interested in events. Let's get to the more interesting ones. Flex ecosystem. Zeus, what's your take on that?
It's interesting. It's really adding a bunch of it's not really so much in addition to the APIs. It's adding a bunch of partners to the ecosystem. They announced, I think, like 100, but they included partners like Zendesk, Google, Salesforce, Calabrio. I think actually they announced 30. The importance of that is obviously Twilio is trying to make grounds in the contact center through Flex. And anybody that is in the contact center space will tell you that one of the important criteria is integration into those mainstream vendors. People don't tend to work in the contact center. They work in Salesforce, they work in Zendesk. And so I thought that was a big missing piece from the way they went to market. If they didn't have those integrations, that was really left up to the company to do. So now they've had those pre-built. And so Twilio certainly has their eye on, becoming one of the mainstream contact center vendors. I don't think they would have been able to do it without these partnerships. So I think it is significant then that it actually makes them, it moves them closer to being a mainstream vendor. And I think that they're going to be a formidable competitor to come.
I'm beginning to think Twilio basically as a whole as a contact center company. They started off Flex as kind of their contact center division, but more and more of everything they're announcing, whether it be Flex or not Flex, I'm not even sure what Flex means anymore. I just think of Twilio as a solution for customer engagement. However, there is an exception with their next announcement, which was Microvisor. Microvisor was an IoT play, and so I covered this in my newsletter last month that they acquired this company Electric Imp, and they acquired them very quietly, but now they've basically launched this as a new offering from Twilio, and it's actually a pretty big shift. It's not just a new offering like they always have new offerings, but it's actually a shift toward embedded systems. And I think that's a pretty big difference for Twilio. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think you can't do everything in software, right? As much as we want to do everything in software, some stuff still has to be done on hardware. And their Super SIM that they launched is actually like a little board that goes, that's kind of a SIM card plus, but it actually gives developers the opportunity to optimize through software or through hardware. And I think that's, I think that as an IoT play, that's important. So that's, kudos to them for doing that. So, I thought another interesting announcement there was WebRTC to Go. They've had embedded video for a while, but this is actually a free tier. And so I wrote an OJET article a little while ago, a Forbes article a little while ago, talking about how embedded video, COVID was going to create a huge wave of embedded video apps, because it's not, while, we can use Zoom and things like that, it's not always convenient for certain applications to be flipping between the app and the video tool. Sometimes you want to embed the video right into it, right? So something like, the Peloton experience is embedded video. So what WebRTC to Go is, it allows developers for free to embed video in for peer-to-peer video communication. So if you want to be able to build it into a social app or a mobile app or something like that, if you're going to do one-to-many things like that, then obviously you have to pay for it. But I think it could kickstart a whole new wave of embedded video applications.
Well, I think WebRTC to Go is actually, one more thing about the pandemic. The pandemic actually was, or COVID was a major theme of Twilio Signal in general. And, everything from the contact center plays to the Flex ecosystem you were talking about, we're seeing across the board on contact centers. We just had events this month with Five9. We had it from Nice in Contact. Aspect had an event. Everybody is talking about how the pandemic has really accelerated so many digital efforts, and video, of course, is a big one. And they acquired Corrento Video. That was a long time ago, and I've actually been kind of surprised they didn't have something like this kind of sooner. But I'm glad to see it now. It looks like a really strong offering, and the fact that it's free for one-on-one meetings, that's really going to get some traction, I think. I think the biggest announcement they made, though, is what they're calling Twilio Frontline. And again, pandemic related, because a new word for frontline is essential workers. And we found out that we have not given our essential workers maybe the best tools that we thought we had. And so there's been a lot of reinvention around how do we help our frontline workers. And so Twilio Frontline is basically a mobile app, a smartphone app that is built on the Conversations API. It brings all its capability to a mobile phone user, a field worker, and it allows them to effectively become agents in a different way. A really easy way to think about this is, you order maybe an Uber ride, and you at that point need to interact with Uber when the driver's looking for you, and you can call Uber. Uber has developed this from scratch where you could actually call the frontline worker, the driver, to say where you are and clarify things. They built that from scratch. Now, basically, Twilio is kind of productizing that and making it available so that any company could really dynamically, or even not dynamically, get a customer connected to the person delivering the service in a complete offer. I think it's pretty significant move, actually. So getting on to some other news, we saw some expansion from RingCentral, and also coincidentally Unify, or Unify Office. Unify Office is now available in France and Germany, and they've indicated that will be available fairly soon in Austria, Belgium, Ireland, Italy, Spain, and the Netherlands. And so pretty significant expansion there, and that's partially enabled by RingCentral also announcing that they've opened up their German data center. And that's a pretty significant accomplishment, actually, because as companies in the UK, as UCaaS companies expand internationally, you have a chicken and egg syndrome. Is there enough demand to justify the cost of becoming a regulated offer in that country? And so their partnerships with Avaya, with Atos Unify, and Alcatel Lucent Enterprise has really broken that chicken and egg. And so that German data center has got a whole bunch of capabilities that Germany requires. And I think it's a pretty exciting move for both RingCentral and even more so for Atos Unify. Any thoughts on that, Zeus?
In fact, whenever they announced one of these, especially with ALE and Unify, Ring was pretty clear that European expansion is important to them. And I think this is a case where, as good as Ring's name is, here in the US, I think they needed ALE and the Unify partnership to do that. And even Avaya's got, they bought Tenovus years and years ago, right, which got them a European footprint. And so this is, I can say, an easy way for Ring to get footprint in Europe, but it's certainly they're able to leverage the partnerships to do it. So this is a good win-win. Another kind of interesting piece of news this week was Talkdesk, right? So you were talking about all the contact center news, but here's more contact center news. Talkdesk announced Talkdesk Remote and Talkdesk To Go. Remote's really a custom-built remote package. Part of that's a big set of management tools in order to help contact center managers manage differently. An interesting part of remote, I thought, was something called Guardian, which is actually a security application built in to Talkdesk to secure contact center specific things. And so I think if we can move agents to home, you need to think about how to manage them differently. Remote does that, and how to secure them differently. Guardian does that. Talkdesk To Go is actually a mobile version of their application, and more, I do think you'll see agents at least partially using mobile devices. And this is an interesting part of the evolution of the contact center, Dave, where more and more I'm seeing companies give contact center capability to non-contact center agents, inside salespeople, field service, things like that. And so certainly a lot of those are mobile first. And so I think between To Go and Remote, Talkdesk has got a nice set of capabilities for the future where the contact center is going.
Yeah, actually, Talkdesk To Go is a lot like the Twilio Frontline. They have a lot of commonality there. They're both full stack, basically full stack mobile clients. Talkdesk really emphasized the BYOD use case with that, and again, I think it's really important that we get these field workers and remote staff and essential workers more connected to the customers. And in this pandemic world, and probably this post-pandemic world, we're going to see a lot more need for connecting customers to frontline workers or first line workers or essential workers or to-go workers. So this one surprised me. Verizon announced a new contact center called Contact Center Hub. So they're really building out a complete solution. They've got the UCaaS story, they've got the video story, and now they've got a contact center story. All of these are with Verizon technology. In fact, that's my biggest concern about the Contact Center Hub is we don't know whose technology it is. It's being built as Verizon technology. I don't know if they built it completely on their own or if they use somebody else's technology. But that's something you got to think about because their competitors, let's say AT&T, they're going with RingCentral. You've got CenturyLink. It's got both WebEx and Zoom, and then Verizon has its own branded solution.
I do think that, for the SMB market, they do want a one-stop shop. And now you can buy your internet access, you can buy your firewalls, all your security, your managed SD-WAN, your UCaaS, and your contact center all from one company.
Well, that wraps up our 7th episode, or possibly the first episode of Real Time Recorded, depending how you want to count. But thank you for watching, and we'll be back next week with even more news.